Good afternoon, and thank you for stopping by a Saturday afternoon, yes, beer edition of Massachusetts Beer Reviews channel of YouTube. Thomas Meadow 75 here, and this is your Massachusetts beer review. Today, in the bottle, I have Anchor's, one of their new offerings, their coffee porter. It is ale brewed, yes, with coffee. From the Anchor Brewing Company, located in San Francisco, California. It debuted in 2017 this year, and it is available now from September to December. And on the neck of the bottle, there's a little bit of stuff, they say. They're in collaboration with local roaster 4 Barrel Coffee. They are, we end up, alright, there's a lot of stuff on the bottle cap or the neck, but it says that with the beer, the result is a coffee porter with immense richness, intensity, boldness, and smoothness, with deep aromas and mouthfeel of fresh roasted coffee, melded with dark roasted maltiness. And this one is, so what they're doing, they're using a coffee from 4 Barrel Roasters. They're also local to San Francisco. And they add the coffee in the second fermentation, and that coffee is brewed hot and then flash chilled within 10 seconds. It was, again, debuted in 2017, 6.7% ABV. Do not know the international bitterness units, the IBUs. And they're using 2-row pale, caramel, black, and wheat malt. And Apollo hops, which I have never heard of. So let's get it into this Shipyard tulip glass and see what it's all about. Here is the typical Anchor bottle cap. And yes, they say to use opener. So that's cool. I'm going to somewhat aggressively pour this to try to seek. And there you go. Try to seek that head. And what I'm getting out of, in a little bit of light, it's got light amounts of the ruby red tinges going on towards the bottom of the glass. But it's a pretty, mostly dark beer with that mocha tan-looking khaki head. With a lot of lots and lots of small bubbles and some rocky ones, and it almost has a nitro beer, like a Guinness or a Murphy's kind of look to it, which is nice to see. Tiny amounts of popping and fizzing. And the smell is definitely cold coffee. You're definitely getting that bittering sensation from the black dark coffee. There's I don't want to say cherries. There's some kind of an undiscernible dark fruit quality in there. There definitely is caramel malt. And just brown bread and a sweetness underneath everything. So, I mean, if you like the smell of coffee, then this one is for you. The smell of black roasted coffee. This one's for you. So, Anchor Coffee Porter. Let's try it on camera. Cheers, guys. There's definitely intensity, and there's definitely boldness to it, for sure. It's a little bit creamy. You're getting so many flavors towards the end in the finish. When I had this beer from the 6-pack for the first time yesterday after I acquired it, I had thought initially that a lot of the there's a lot of hop, kind of a bitterness towards the end. But I think if you've ever had black coffee, and certainly cold black coffee without any cream or sugar in it, you're definitely getting that same bitterness from the coffee. There's an upfront roastiness, obviously. There's definitely like a nuttiness mixed in with that darker fruit quality. I am getting some chocolate. Maybe there is some chocolate in the nose, but I'm definitely getting a darker baker's type chocolate in the nose. There's definitely a roastiness. There's almost an oatmeal stouty kind of a quality to this one. There's that two-row pale, the black malts and the wheat malts are kind of giving it, I don't want to say a grainy component, but it's almost has that kind of an oatmeal stout kind of a graininess, if that makes sense. It's pretty carbonated, so it's very crisp. Maybe actually just slightly too crisp for my liking. It's a semi-sweet finish. Maybe a little bit of a souring note towards the finish, kind of like a coffee would have. And is this refreshing? Not really. Yeah, you're definitely, as I'm talking now, I'm definitely getting a darker, like a Dove or a 60% cacao Ghirardelli kind of a chocolate square kind of a taste to it. So in that sense, kind of an interesting finish. I mean, it starts pretty strong of a coffee, of a sweet kind of a coffee chocolate going on. And then all of this bitteriness from it being a dark roasted coffee without any of that cream kind of flavor comes in. Oh, a little touch of the souring note. Chocolate, nuttiness. You're definitely getting a malty flavor, not unlike in an oatmeal stout. I think it is a little bit smoother than an oatmeal stout, but mouthfeel, I didn't get to that. I would say it's on the high side of medium, not full. A lot of carbonation. Not a full body, but I would say that this is a medium, straight up medium. It has a little bit of a slightly kind of a syrupy consistency to the mouthfeel. You can definitely taste it's somewhat of a bigger beer at 6.7. It's not obviously the biggest beer, but you can tell it's got a little bit more heft to it. So I think if they minimize on the bitterness, no black licorice taste. I got a comment. There's probably a light black licorice anise thing in the background, but it's all about the coffee in this one, for damn sure. And I think, again, my only complaints here that I can rattle off would be that I would like a less carbonation in this beer, for sure. I think if it were more like a milk stout and had a more of a creamier... One of two things they could do here. If they wanted to keep it a lower ABV beer and make it more of a milk stout, then I think that would taste pretty delicious and refreshing. Or they could go and use this recipe, even though it's a porter, and sort of tweak it a little bit and make it an imperial stout and really harp on the fact that they want you to sip it and enjoy it. And that would be probably really good. And actually, even though I'm getting a lot of, from the pale, two-row pale, black and wheat malts, I'm discerning that that's kind of a grainy type of a flavor in this one. I would actually prefer more of a malty backbone, and that's really about it. I mean, would I tell you to would I recommend this and tell you to try this beer? Yeah, absolutely try this beer. It's not the greatest thing to me. It's not the greatest thing to me, but it's still one worthy of your time. Would I pick this up and buy it again? Probably not. There's a lot better stouts and porters that I enjoy than this one. I mean, there's no mistaking that it has that sour twinge and that bold bitterness that you get from coffee. I think if they maybe added certain elements to it that could enhance the coffee flavor, then that would be good. But, and even it intrigues me when I say this, but if you're a coffee fan, you like your dark roast coffee, and you like your coffee notes in your darker beers, then you could almost go in no better direction than this. I don't know what kind of coffee they use, and they don't specify on their website what kind of coffee from a 4-barrel they're using, but I haven't looked up the ratings, so I'm going to give this a B-. Pretty good beer, not on my topper echelon of stouts, but Saturday, having a beer, relaxing, and maybe we'll watch the UFC fights with some buddies later. So, yeah, this has been the Anchor Coffee Porter from Anchor Brewing Company. Till next time, cheers. Keep tasting those great beers. Thank you, Tyler Mansell, for watching live. I'm going to go make some Johnsonville beer brats. Cheers.